Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 5 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make you say, wait, what? Story 1. My coworker's deathly fear of ghosts. And I left him alone anyway. So I might have accidentally left my coworker alone with a bunch of ghosts. Okay, let me back up. I work at this factory office, and one of my co-workers, let's call him Tony, is from a country where ghost stories aren't just campfire tales, they're a real, deeply held belief. And here's the thing, our office building has a history. More than a dozen people have died here over the last century. All accidents, sure, but still, that's a lot of death for one building, including the founder of the company. So there's this unspoken office rule that's been going on for years. Nobody leaves Tony alone in the building. If everyone else is heading out and Tony wants to keep working late, which he does a lot, somebody stays behind with him. It's not official policy, it's just this thing we all do out of courtesy because the guy genuinely gets terrified. Like, shaking, pale, can't focus, terrified. So last week, it's getting late, everyone's packing up, and I've got somewhere to be. I didn't say anything to Tony. I just quietly grabbed my stuff and left. I didn't announce it, I didn't check if someone else was staying, I just walked out the door. Turns out, nobody else was staying either. Tony realized he was completely alone in a building where over a dozen people have died, and he apparently had a full-blown panic attack. He ended up calling his wife to come pick him up because he was too shaken to even drive himself home. The next day, word got around the office pretty fast. People are looking at me like I committed some kind of crime. My other coworkers are saying I broke the unspoken agreement, that I knew the rule and I ditched him anyway without a heads up. Tony himself hasn't said much to me directly, but I can tell he's hurt, maybe even a little betrayed. Here's my side of it though. This was never a written rule. It was never in my job description that I'm responsible for babysitting a grown man's fear of ghosts. I have my own life, my own schedule, and I can't be expected to check in with Tony every single time I need to leave work. If he's that afraid of being alone, shouldn't he be the one asking around before people leave, rather than assuming someone will always stay? I get that it sounds harsh when I say it out loud, and I did feel bad hearing that he had a panic attack and needed his wife to come get him. That's a rough way to end a workday. But at the same time, I'm an adult with my own responsibilities, and this unofficial buddy system was never something I signed up for. It just sort of existed because people are nice, not because it's some kind of workplace law. Now half the office thinks I'm the bad guy for not giving Tony a warning, and the other half thinks people are being ridiculous expecting a coworker to manage another grown adult's fear of the supernatural. So, was I wrong for not telling him I was leaving? Or is it on Tony to make sure he's not alone if it matters that much to him? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. My uncle lived rent-free for 20 years. Until I kicked him out. So I just kicked my own uncle out of his house, and now half my family thinks I'm a monster. Let me explain how we even got here. About 30 years ago, my mom bought a spare apartment in our city, just an investment property, nothing fancy. Fast forward about 10 years from that, my uncle, my mom's brother, was going through a rough patch. He couldn't find a job, things were falling apart for him, and my mom, being the kind person she is, told him he could stay in that apartment rent-free for as long as he needed. She never put a timeline on it. She never even really brought it up again. It just became this unspoken arrangement that everyone accepted. 20 years. He lived there rent-free for 20 years. Now here's where things get complicated. My parents had basically all of their savings sitting in a local bank. And that bank collapsed this year. Just completely went under. The money isn't gone forever, but it's going to take about 3 years for them to get all of it back through whatever recovery process the bank is going through. In the meantime, my parents are retired. They're not working anymore, they don't have new income coming in, and they're sitting on maybe 6 months of cash to their name. 6 months. That's it. That's not a small problem, that's a full-blown crisis for two retired people. My mom, even knowing all of this, could not bring herself to tell her brother he had to move out. I think there was just too much guilt, too much history, too much of that sibling dynamic where she still saw him as someone she needed to protect. So I stepped in. I sat my uncle down and told him, as gently as I could, that he was going to need to move out and that my parents needed to either sell the apartment or rent it out to actual paying tenants so they could have some income while they wait for their money to come back. I gave him a heads up. I didn't just throw him out on the street with no notice, but I made it clear this needed to happen and it needed to happen relatively soon. He did not take it well. He's furious. He's telling other family members that I'm heartless, that I'm turning my back on family, that after 20 years I just tossed him aside like garbage. Some of my cousins have started giving me the cold shoulder at family gatherings. My mom feels torn in half because she loves her brother, but she also knows deep down that I did what needed to be done to protect her and my dad's financial stability. Here's the thing though. 20 years is an incredibly long time to live somewhere for free. My uncle had 2 decades to get back on his feet, save money, find stability, and build some kind of safety net. And now, when my parents are the ones facing an actual emergency, an emergency that is not their fault, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask him to make room so the apartment can actually serve the purpose it was always meant to serve, which is supporting my parents. My parents are retired. They don't have the luxury of just waiting it out and hoping for the best. So yeah, I made the hard call because my mom couldn't. Was I wrong for pushing my uncle out after all these years, even though my parents genuinely need that apartment now? Story 3. My twin sister says she's better than me because she's getting married at 20. So my twin sister thinks she's winning at life because she's engaged and I'm not, and I finally snapped and told her what I actually think. Okay, so here's the setup. I'm 20 years old, I'm in college, working toward my degree, trying to build some kind of career path. My twin sister just finished a program to become a nail technician, and around the same time, she got engaged. And I want to be clear, I never said anything negative about her getting married young. Personally, I think we're both way too young to be getting engaged at 20, but that's her life, her choice, and I kept my opinions to myself about that part. But ever since the engagement, she has turned into a completely different person around me. She keeps making these little comments, like she's better than me because she's engaged and I'm single. She's decided she is never going to get a job. She wants to be a stay-at-home wife and eventually a stay-at-home mom, and that's her right to choose that path if that's what she wants for her life. I'm not against that lifestyle for other people at all. But she brings it up constantly like it's some kind of trophy, like landing a fiancé at 20 makes her superior to me because I'm focused on school and don't have a relationship right now. It got to a point where I couldn't just sit there and nod anymore. She made another one of her little digs, something about how she's already got her future figured out with a husband and a home while I'm still stressing over textbooks and exams with no boyfriend in sight. And I just let loose. I told her that choosing to never work and rely entirely on someone else financially isn't some kind of flex, it's actually a really risky position to put yourself in, especially at 20 years old before you've even seen what marriage and adult life are really like. I told her that being engaged doesn't automatically make her more successful or more mature than me, it just means she found someone to marry young, that's it. I said relationships and jobs are not a competition, and she needs to stop acting like her engagement ring is some kind of participation trophy that makes her superior. She got really upset, started crying actually, and said I was jealous of her happiness and that I was talking down on her choice to be a housewife. Now our parents are involved because she went and complained to them, and they think I was too harsh and should have just let her have her moment instead of tearing into her like that. But I don't think I was attacking her choice to be a stay-at-home wife. I think I was reacting to years of her using that choice as a weapon to make herself feel superior to me. There's a difference between respecting someone's decision and being forced to sit quietly while they use that decision to put you down constantly. So, was I wrong for finally telling my sister off, or should I have just kept ignoring her comments to keep the peace? Story 4. I refuse to let my sister's family move into my house. So my sister wants my house, the one I bought with my own money, and my whole family thinks I'm the bad guy for saying no. Let me give you the background here. I'm 26, and about 2 years ago I took over my dad's auto parts business. He built that business from the ground up over 30 years, and when he finally retired, I stepped in to run it. Since then, business has genuinely taken off. We've seen huge growth, we're making real money now, more than my family ever expected, honestly more than I expected. Because of that success, everyone in my family has started upgrading their living situations. My parents bought themselves a massive house near the city, something like 4,000 square feet, a real reward for decades of hard work. I decided I wanted something different for myself. I bought a house out in a more rural area, away from the noise of the city, somewhere quiet where I could actually relax after long days at the shop. It's my house. I paid for it with money I earned running this business. Here's where the drama starts. My sister and her husband have been renting for years, and apparently they've been struggling more than I realized. When they found out I bought a second property essentially, or at least a home separate from where my parents live, they started hinting, then straight up asking, if they could move into my rural house instead of me living there. Their reasoning is that I'm single, I don't need that much space for just myself, and they have kids who could really benefit from a bigger home with a yard out in the country. I said no. I told them I bought that house for myself, I worked hard for it, and I actually enjoy living there. That did not go over well at all. Suddenly I'm the villain at every family gathering. My sister is telling everyone I'm selfish, that I'm choosing a house over my own nieces and nephews having a better quality of life. My parents, who I thought would back me up since they know exactly how hard I've worked to grow this business, are instead telling me I should consider it since I'm not married and don't have kids of my own yet, so what do I even need all that space for? But here's how I see it. I worked incredibly hard taking over this business and turning it into something profitable. I made sacrifices, I put in the hours, I took the risks. This house was something I bought for myself as basically a reward and a place to actually decompress. Just because I'm single right now doesn't mean my life or my comfort matters less than my sister's family situation. She chose to rent for years, she chose the life she's living, and while I do feel for her kids, it is not my responsibility to hand over a home I bought with my own money just because I happen to not have a spouse or children yet. Now the whole family is pressuring me constantly, and it's turning into this huge divide where I feel like I'm being punished for being successful and single at the same time. So, was I wrong to say no to giving up my own house for my sister's family? Story 5. I wouldn't give my brother my bank login. Because he's broke and has anger issues. So my mom called me 10 times in one night demanding I hand over my investment account login to my brother, and I still said no. Let me explain why. I'm 39 years old, and I have a brokerage account that I've built up over years of careful saving and investing. It's mine, I manage it myself, and honestly I'm pretty proud of how it's grown. My brother, let's call him Jack, is 36. He lives at home with our parents, and he hasn't held a real job since college. His big excuse for years now has been that he's working on a startup. No specifics, no real progress that anyone's ever seen, just this vague ongoing claim that he's building something big. On top of that, Jack has some anger issues that go back to high school that were never really addressed or dealt with properly. So the night this all went down, my mom calls me. And calls me again. And again. 10 times in total, all in one evening, all demanding the same thing, that I give her my brokerage login information so that Jack can start managing my investments for me. Her reasoning, and I am not making this up, is that Jack has a lot of free time on his hands and low self-esteem, and apparently letting him manage my money would give him something productive to do and help boost his confidence. I said no. Obviously I said no. This is not a small ask. This is my entire investment portfolio, money I have worked hard to build over years, and my mom wants me to hand the keys over to someone who has no job, no financial credentials, a history of anger problems, and has literally never managed a single real investment account in his life. It's not a matter of trust in the sense of him being dishonest necessarily, it's a matter of competence and boundaries. This is not a therapy exercise. This is my actual financial future we're talking about. My mom did not take the rejection well at all. She accused me of not caring about my brother's mental health, of being selfish, of not wanting to help family when family needs it. She kept pushing, saying it would just be temporary, just to give him something to focus on, just to help him feel useful again. But I don't see how volunteering my life savings as some kind of emotional support project for my brother is a reasonable thing to ask of me. If Jack wants to learn about investing, there are courses, there are books, there are ways for him to build actual experience and credentials without using my money as his personal experiment. Now my mom is telling other family members that I'm cold and unsupportive, and Jack himself hasn't said much to me directly, but I know he's upset about it too. I feel for the guy, honestly. I do think he's struggling and his self-esteem probably is genuinely low. But struggling with confidence doesn't mean he gets to practice on my finances. So, was I wrong for refusing to hand over control of my investments just to make my brother feel better about himself? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.